William Barr called out Joe Biden's terrifying threat with three sharp words. The Democrats have played a reckless game encouraging the protests. If they aren't careful, they will soon find that the movement is beyond their control. William Barr called out Joe Biden's terrifying threat with three sharp words. One of the slogans used during the BLM protests after the death of George Floyd was "No justice, no peace." The Democrats and the mainstream media claimed that Floyd's death was the result of a deeply systemic racist system and claim that black people have to live in fear for their lives because of the police, even though the statistical data doesn't back up their claims. Now violent protests are becoming almost a weekly occurrence across America. In Minneapolis, protests broke out after a murder suspect committed suicide, and in Chicago because of false reports that the police shot an unarmed black teenager. The Democrats, seeing that the riots are hurting them in the polls, are now softly speaking out against violence in general terms. Yet they are trying to claim that the only way for peace is for Joe Biden to win. Attorney General William Barr decried the fact that Democrats were demanding Biden or no peace, saying that they were creating an incendiary situation that would lead to rule by the mob when he spoke on WGN radio. The so-called resistance, which is not a proper term to use in our democracy, instead of loyal opposition, it became actual resistance. There undoubtedly are many people in the government who surreptitiously work to thwart the administration, and the turn now to the mob violence, and the countenancing of mob violence, is another very disconcerting development, because I think, increasingly, the message of the Democrats appears to be, Biden or no peace, that is ruled by the mob, and we're approaching that. Barr said. Barr added that while the rich, liberal elites have been protected from the consequences, the violence has been devastating for inner-city communities because they can't buy their way out of it and move to gated communities. Crime rates have risen in cities across the nation as leftist politicians have moved to slash police budgets. Barr said the current election is hugely important. I think we were getting into a position where we were going to find ourselves irrevocably committed to a socialist path, and I think if Trump loses this election, that will be the case. In other words, I think there's now a clear fork in the road for our country. Barr added, I think we were getting into a position where we were going to find ourselves irrevocably committed to a socialist path, and I think if Trump loses this election, that will be the case. In other words, I think there's now a clear fork in the road for our country, and that mail-in ballots are a terrible danger to American democracy since there can be no such thing as a secret vote with a mail-in ballot. What do you think about this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Don't you forget like, share and subscribe latest news channel. Thank you for watching.